Okay, today we're digging into one of the deadliest, most misunderstood hazards in the entire world of work. It's a danger that's literally all around us, but one we almost never see for what it really is. All right, so when you picture danger on a construction site, what pops into your head? Working way up high, wrangling some huge piece of machinery? Yeah, those are for sure risky, but let me ask you this. What do you think is the single most dangerous activity out there?
Well, the real answer is probably not what you're thinking. No, it's got nothing to do with heights or cranes or any kind of complex equipment. The truth is, statistically speaking, the most dangerous place you can be is way, way simpler.
That's right. Just a simple hole in the ground. You could work your whole life in construction and never be in more danger than when you're just standing at the bottom of a trench. So the big question is, why?
It all starts with a number, 3,000 pounds, or, for our metric friends, about 1,360 kilograms. Now, that's not some piece of equipment. That's the weight of just 1 cubic yard of plain old dirt. Picture a cube of soil about the size of your washing machine.
To really get a feel for that, think of it like this. It's basically a small car. Now imagine a trench wall. Just let's go. That small car's worth of weight doesn't just crumble in. No, it hits you in under a second. There is zero warning, no sound, no time to even flinch. It's just there. And this is exactly why this whole thing isn't about memorizing rules from some dusty old book. It's about pure physics. It's about getting what's actually happening in the ground around you so you can spot when something's about to go wrong before it kills you. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's break down the physics of a collapse. What are the things that can turn what looks like a totally stable trench into an absolute death trap in the blink of an eye? Well, the biggest one, of course, is the trench wall just giving way. And the stakes here, they couldn't be higher. I mean, even a small collapse can pin you down, but a full one, the outcome is, well, it's almost always fatal. But it's not just gravity pulling down. There are other things working against you. First, you've got water, rain, groundwater. It soaks into the soil and turns it into this heavy sludge that just can't hold its own weight. Then there's vibration. A truck driving by, a piece of equipment running nearby, that shaking literally loosens up the soil. And finally, surcharge loads. That's a fancy term for putting heavy stuff near the edge, like the pile of dirt you just dug out or parking a truck too close. All that weight is just pushing those walls inward. So with all these forces at play, how in the world do you stay safe? Well, it really all boils down to one single super important number, a specific depth that changes absolutely everything. 4 feet, or 1.2 meters. And what's wild is that safety groups all over the planet, we're talking North America, Europe, Australia, they all landed on this exact same number. It's the hard and fast rule. You do not go into a trench deeper than this without protection. Period. No exceptions. But why 4 feet? What's so special about that number? The reason is actually pretty terrifying, and it all comes down to basic biology. See, at 4 feet deep, a collapse doesn't have to bury you over your head to kill you. It just needs to get to your chest. I want you to really try and imagine this for a second. Picture that small car we talked about, that 3,000 pounds of dirt, suddenly squeezing your chest from every direction. And here's the truly horrifying part. You're not knocked out. You are wide awake. You know exactly what's happening. Your head is still above the soil. You can see everything. You can hear everyone. But there's one thing you can't do. You can't breathe in. No matter how much you struggle, you just can't take a breath. And that is the reason for the 4-foot rule. It has nothing to do with dirt being over your head. It's all about chest compression. To breathe, your lungs have to expand, right? But with a car's worth of weight on you, that's physically impossible. So you suffocate, fully conscious, just because your own lungs can't move. Okay, so now that we understand just how dangerous this is, how do we stop it from happening? Let's switch gears from the problem to the solution. These are the absolute must-dos, the non-negotiables, that save lives every single day. Everything starts with someone called the competent person. And this isn't just some job title. This person is the safety expert on that site. They have to be trained to see a hazard before it becomes one. And this is key. They have to have the power to stop all work, right then and there. And I mean real power, the kind that a foreman or a deadline can't just ignore. So before a single boot hits the bottom of that trench, 4 things have to be checked off the list. First, you know where all the utilities are.
gas lines, electric, all marked. Second, that competent person has checked out the soil to see what kind it is. Third, if that trench is 4 feet or deeper, there is a protective system in place, like a trench box. And fourth, everyone has a way to get out, like a ladder, no more than 25 feet away from them. But look, the single most important safety tool out there isn't a box or a ladder. It's something that every single person on that job site already has. It's your right and your power to say no.
And this quote from someone in the field just hits the nail on the head. Yeah, pressure to get the job done is real. We all know that. But all that pressure disappears in a heartbeat when things go south. And in that mess, the only person who wins is the lawyer. You have a legally protected right to refuse unsafe work. You've got to know that right, and you've got to be willing to use it.
So how do you actually do it? This isn't about starting a fight. It's about being professional and just stating the facts. Use calm, direct language. Something like, hey, that trench is over 4 feet deep and there's no protection in it. Or, I'm more than happy to get in there as soon as it's made safe. This part is so important. You're not refusing to do your job. You are refusing to do your job unsafely. There's a huge difference, and any good supervisor will get that.
So that brings us right back to where we started. Is safety just about following a list of rules, or is it about actually understanding the reality of the situation? At the end of the day, it's not about checking a box. It's about having a deep respect for the physics at play, for the reality of what's happening in the ground right under your feet, because understanding that is what ensures you go home every single day.